Coming up on Kochie's Business Builders, an iconic entrepreneur shares his secrets to success. Find out how to up the ante on your retail game with tips from a local legend. Plus, how you can beat the skills shortage and retain staff. G'day and welcome to another episode of Kochie's Business Builders, where we take a look at the issues facing small business owners and come up with practical advice and tips to help them succeed. Joining me today as co-host is serial entrepreneur Adam Jacobs. Now, if you're a lover of fashion, you're bound to have heard of his first startup, The Iconic, which he launched over a decade ago with a group of friends. Since then, The Iconic has revolutionised online retail in Australia and gone on to become the go-to destination for fashion, beauty, sports and kidswear. Adam has moved on, though, to co-found another startup. I told you it was serial. It's called Hatch, a hiring solution that helps match people to jobs. And having grown The Iconic from 0 to 1,000 staff, I reckon he knows a thing or two about how important it is to have to learn the right culture and the right fit in your organisation. Adam, thanks for joining us.
Kochie, thanks so much for having me.
You are a serial entrepreneur. First of all, what drives you to start startups?
I suppose I'm just interested in solving problems, and that often brings you to starting businesses. Spotting a pain point in the market that hasn't been solved, that's creating a lot of frustration for people, and trying to rethink it from first principles, that drives me.
One of the biggest pain points is the skills shortage, the job shortage. Everyone talks about people and culture. Hatch
Here it
is absolutely perfectly placed to solve this.
Yeah.
Tell us about the business. What does it do?
When you run a business, you know that hiring is probably 80% of creating a great business. Mostly when we hire today, we hire with job boards, and I don't think job boards are great experiences. You end up with a lot of resumes in your inbox, and it's hard to tell who might be good. So what Hatch does is it's a job site that gives you a totally new way to find people who could be a good fit for your organisation by looking beyond their resume and into their underlying skills, their values, their motivators, their passion, and seeing if those things mean they could thrive in your environment.
Such great advice, Adam. Thank you for that. Now, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on our next business. Tiny Bear Distillery. It's a small artisan distillery that makes great spirits. But since the pandemic, they've been having issues with securing staff. It's a common problem for a lot of businesses, as we know, especially in hospitality. It's not just about hiring in a labour shortage, but it's also about finding staff that are the right culture. Adam, how does Tiny Bear go about developing a culture that attracts the right employee?
I would really think about the fit between employee values and company purpose. What is it about this business that makes them different to others in their space? You know, they're a distillery, so is it about the craft? Is it about their supply chain and sustainability? Is it about the way that they develop new products and experimentation and innovation? You know, what is it about them that makes them different to others? It is authentic, is something they really care about. And then how do you use that sense of company purpose to attract people with like-minded values towards you? There's thousands of young Australians working in hospitality, and you've got to cut through to them.
That's a really good tip. Adam, thank you for that. Stick around because we'll have more from Adam later. But first, we'll check back in with the team at Tiny Bear Distillery. We sent business strategist Holly Ransom into Tiny Bear to catch up with founder Damien Anderson. She gave him and his staff some homework to help them align on purpose and culture. Let's see how they went.
Well, I'm very excited to be back at Tiny Bear today. Damien, thanks for having me again. No, we've got two of your leadership group here today, so can you tell me who we've got?
Yeah, we've got Sally. She's joining us from home.
Hey, I'm the distillery manager here. I've been with Tiny Bear for about 2.5 years now, and my job is basically just to make sure that everything happens when it needs to happen. And also I do a bit of the cellar door management, a little bit of accounting too, so a little bit of everything really.
No kidding. Lots in this job description. I love it.
And we've got Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh. I've been with Tiny Bear since August last year. I'm bar bottle shop manager. Essentially what I do up there is make sure that everything's running smoothly. Damien doesn't need to be there all the time. Staff doing what they need to do when they need to do it. Customers and staff are happy. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you both for being a part of the conversation today. I appreciate it. Before we get into kind of what's happened in terms of the homework that I set for you and the team, tell me a bit about what's happened in the business since I last saw you.
It's been a chaotic couple of weeks. We did a bit of a staff reflection of, in a way, addressing the issues we have with staff flexibility. And from that, we had to do some structural staff changes. So Sally was involved in a lot of that. And then, we went and did a bit of a who, a why, a what for the bar and the bottle shop staff, and what's their motivation and why do they want to work for Tiny Bear and Tiny's Bar.
Great. So talk about the changes in the staffing group to begin with. What happened with that sort of restructure? It
became pretty evident that we were overstaffed Monday to Friday, or Monday to Thursday is probably the better way to put it, and we were understaffed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which was when our peak times are. We had to move forward with some new staff to make that work, but to make that work, we had to change the roles a little bit.
So I can see some sheets here. Can you talk us through kind of what you asked people?
So I've only done this with the bar staff.
Yep.
But basically I went up and have one-on-one interviews with each staff member.
Great. And
kind of give them a little bit of a homework to think about what is their reason, what's their motivation, what do they enjoy about work, and then at the same time as that, reflect on their positives. What do they know they're good at?
How was the process for you?
It was excellent. It was really good to have that conversation and go, okay, yep, I do need to improve on this. And for him to agree with my good side of things, like, yep, okay, your customer service is fantastic. I know that, you know that. So let's improve on the things that we both need to improve on.
It's been eye-opening for me, and they were like, why are we doing this? And it's not a review, it's a thing. And they took it and they did it really well, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, and it seems like it's been seen as a positive process from your perspective too, that Damien wanted to know these things and was so open to having a conversation around it.
Definitely positive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you know Kochie's Business Builders has a website? It's a great place to find all the latest business news, advice and tips to succeed. Check it out now at www.kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au and get your fix of small business inspiration. Now, the National Skills Commission report reveals Australia is facing a massive skills shortage. According to the report, nearly a third of business sectors are facing serious worker shortfalls. In fact, Australia's skills shortages are the second highest in the OECD, would you believe? Job vacancies have grown more than 40%, with over 300,000 roles waiting to be filled. Now, the government has responded by launching Jobs and Skills Australia in an effort to provide independent advice on emerging workforce needs, and announced 180,000 new free TAFE places to encourage people to take up training. But is it enough? Adam, you'll start up, Hatch. You're on the coalface of this. Is the skills shortage as bad as reports like this are saying?
It's certainly a problem, yes. What I would say, though, is that I think it also presents an opportunity in thinking more broadly about what makes a candidate suitable for your role. We have a matching model. We call it the why, what, how model. The why being what drives someone, what motivates them. The what being what are they good at, what are their underlying abilities and skills. And the how being what kind of a team do they thrive in, a big team, small team, creative, analytical, organised, disorganised, I shouldn't say disorganised, but maybe creative. And so, by thinking more broadly about someone in that way, you can actually find them from a broader range of backgrounds and then open your talent pool.
Okay, so you're saying to employers, ditch the resumes, but what do they need to give you in terms of an outline to get through that first filter?
There's two things that we build into Hatch's platform beyond that. The first is what we call a skill snapshot. So it's a little example of something they would do in the job where they can demonstrate their skill for that particular responsibility.
Yep.
The second thing we do is what we call an intro video, where they introduce themselves and they say, here's why I'm applying. This is why I'm motivated. This is why I care about your company and your purpose. And not only does that give you insight into that person, it also saves you time in having to do a phone screen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great step forward. Save a lot of time.
Yep.
Mate, great advice. Appreciate it. Stay tuned as tech whiz Tracy Sheen is set to give us the lowdown on Crisp. It's a new software that's going to let you take your best business call with confidence, no matter where you are.
G'day folks, Tracy Sheen, the Digital Guide, back with another tech tip. This week we're talking about Crisp, K-R-I-S-P. Now, if you've ever done a webinar or you've been on a Zoom call or a Teams call and the council decides that it's time to empty the rubbish bins, the dogs go crazy, there's a leaf blower going on in the background, it's one of those unwritten internet laws, right, that everything happens. So Crisp is a noise cancelling software that's completely free, that you can run in the background. That is amazing. It reduces all of that background noise on both your end and the person that you're talking to. So check it out, K-R-I-S-P, and I'll see you back again with another tech tip shortly.
Hi, my name is Ben Lipschitz. I'm the CEO and co-founder of FoodByUs. FoodByUs is a one-stop shop for restaurants, cafes, caterers, anyone in the food service industry. We bring together all of the suppliers that they might need, and they can use us to do all of their ordering. So it's a huge time saver, and it's also a money saver. Myself and the other founders have been involved in marketplace businesses before, and particularly around restaurants. And what we started to see when we looked at those restaurants and how they actually place their wholesale food orders is that there's a lot of inefficiencies there. There's a lot of pen and paper, text messaging, telephone calls, all things like that. And with so many restaurants and so many suppliers, that's the kind of environment where a marketplace can really help, and that's the kind of thing that our technology was really setting out to help out. We started out with 3 co-founders and just a small team around us, mostly dedicated to building the technology. From there, we've grown to a headcount of more than 60 people now, and certainly within the next few months, we're going to be more than 80 people. We've got a really high-energy team at FoodByUs that is in the tech space and the hospitality space. We have a whole team that looks after restaurants that's selling our solution into them, as well as a team that looks after all of our suppliers. The innovation is really at the core of what we do. How do we innovate? Well, a lot of it is really testing the boundaries of what we think our technology can do, but also all the time listening, and trying to understand not necessarily what the customer articulates as the problem to you or what they think the solution should be, but really looking at the operation of the business, what's really going on there, and then trying to devise a really simple, elegant solution that works for them, but more importantly for thousands of others. Bistro Rex is a great restaurant. It's actually a Parisian-style bistro in Sydney's Potts Point. To keep things interesting, they're often changing their menu. They use our marketplace to go and find all of these new products, which they'll then integrate into their menu. Where they are now is that the owners have a lot better oversight over what's going on in the business, and multiple chefs are all doing what they're doing through the one platform. So it doesn't matter if they get new chefs and there's training involved. They're now just integrated with FoodByUs. So it's a very healthy and ongoing relationship. I always think it's very helpful to solve a real problem. There's a lot of exciting ideas out there, and it might be a problem that you're facing. I think it's really helpful in the first instance to look at, is this a genuine problem? And how many businesses or people are facing this problem?
Are you ready to get back to business? Well, Kochie's Business Builders has all the expert advice you need to set your business up for success in 2023. From marketing to finance to growing your business. If you've got questions, we've got answers. So head to kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au to subscribe to our newsletter and stay up to date with all the latest small business trends you need to know to succeed.
Hi, I'm Paul Zahra, CEO of the Australian Retailers Association. What we're seeing from consumers globally, and particularly in Australia, is they're becoming much more purpose-led and values-driven. So what they want to know from their brands is, what is their policies around diversity, equality, inclusion? What are their policies around sustainability and climate change? These are really important today and will be much more important in the future as consumers decide how and when they shop. The best advice that I can give all business, but particularly small business, is around having a strong, dedicated focus on data and digital. This is imperative to be successful, but also to be able to continue operations, given that we've had such a level of disruption over the last couple of years. Consumers have spoken, and what they are looking for is the best of online experiences delivered in store, but equally the best in-store experiences delivered online. So becoming an omni-channel retailer, being able to offer that seamless customer experience is the only way for future success.
Welcome back to the show. Now, earlier in this episode, business strategist Holly Ransom paid a visit to Tiny Bear Distillery to learn how daily operations were carried out. Now Holly's back to see how Damien and his team have gone with reaffirming their values. Plus, we found out more about what both Damien and his staff want for the future of Tiny Bear.
You've mentioned you've hired sort of 2 people since I've been here last. How's it changed the way you've thought about who you're bringing into the business or how you've gone about finding them?
So one of the staff members we hired was a customer. So we took that bit of advice of, your customers are your biggest advocates.
Yep.
So she came in, she was unavailable for the Saturday day shift, so we're actually able to hire a junior, which is something we've never done before. They're actually one of the neighbouring business's daughters.
It feels like your referral network is very strong, whether it's customers,
Yep.
whether it's businesses next door. Obviously, the word of mouth that you're creating is really powerful. One of the things I wanted to share with you that I thought could just be interesting as a frame to put over it and for the 3 of you as leaders to be thinking about is this is a model that is a look at kind of the 6 basic buckets of human drivers. It's an interesting one to think about because part of it is around how does your story connect with the people that you need to find. And I think it'd be really interesting to identify whether there are 1 or 2 dominant stories or drivers in what you're hearing back from your people at the moment, and whether there's an opportunity in the way that you're marketing, in the way that your people are out there talking to people about who joins the team next, to think about how do we tell more of the story in that way so we're getting people in from the get-go, from a flexibility standpoint, from a passion about the industry standpoint. If they're the 2 magic factors, that needs to become how we tell the story of Tiny Bear to people that are coming in prospectively. And so I think it becomes how do we tell the story for passion and how do we then stoke the passion of the people we've already got? So how do we bring them together? What is it that's kind of the connect and reconnect activities? And it's challenging, right, with the demands that you've got.
Very challenging.
And that piece, but what would that look like for you as a group? Once a month, once a quarter, something like that, to just do things that really invest in further fueling that passion for your people about why they're part of the team.
I think it all sounds like a really good step in the right direction, just to empower people to, grow their skills, to keep them interested so that they do want to stay with us. And, as we've been talking about, that flexibility, like if they're passionate, they're interested, they will be flexible, or they're more driven to be flexible. So that's a really good thing, I think.
Well, I think what you've done such an amazing job of since we last spoke is embracing this idea of unpacking what the why is for your people. And so we think about that as almost the centre circle. I think the part we've identified as the next area is probably the next ring out of kind of these concentric circles, which is the how. And so really leaning into how do we want to work together at Tiny Bear to bring those whys to life. So you've mentioned 2 things today really strongly. One is certainly around the purpose and the passion, how strong that is for your people and how strong that is for the core group of people you want to build the business with, right? We've moved some people on, but that core that are here and the people we want to recruit into that core, they have to share that passion for what you do. I think the second thing you've touched on is they've got to be flexible enough and dynamic enough to go on a growth journey that's going to continue to evolve in ways that you can't even anticipate right now. And I think what we'll do next time when we connect, love to bring you to a business that I think does a really great job of those things. So we can get some kind of learning and observation on how another small business does it, tap into the lessons that can be learned from that and think about what that could look like in a Tiny Bear context.
Adam, it's been a fascinating process for Holly and Damien, really reinforcing what you've been saying all along. It is aligning your values, but it's a joint process to go through to get staff and owners to think together.
Absolutely. The way I think about values is they're not something you need to perfect from the outset and set in stone. They're something that evolve over time.
You've got to get your culture right to start with, don't you, or have a foundation before you can build on it.
That's right. But then you can let it evolve. You know, culture is an organism and it can change over time. And I think, you know, having a North Star in terms of what do you ultimately care about, but allowing the culture to evolve around it based on the people in it is very healthy.
That is a great way of thinking. Adam, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Kochie.
And remember, if you're looking for small business tips or the latest news and expert advice, then you can find them online at kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au or follow Kochie's Biz on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta and Twitter. See you next week. Next week on Kochie's Business Builders, ChatGPT. Is it going to steal all our jobs? The sustainable salon that's turning heads, plus the ins and outs of social advertising.